Welcome to the JEMS Product Pod, brought to you by Clarion Events, Fire and Rescue Group, and JEMS. I am Ted Lee, the editor-in-chief of JEMS, and along with Jeff Frankel, our managing editor, we will be bringing you technology, equipment, and the newest things impacting EMS. Today, I have a very special guest, Matt Merino, with Education Management Solutions, EMS, kind of a play on the words, of course. So good to have you, sir.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be with you today.
So why don't you start off with giving our audience a little bit of your background and how you got into this position?
Certainly. So I joined Education Management Solutions, or EMS, a little over 2 years ago. I had spent a majority of my private sector career working in healthcare education, a lot in full program management around nursing, therapies, things like that. And prior to joining the private sector, I did about 15 years before coming to EMS in the private sector in healthcare education as a member of the United States military and the Army Special Operations community. So a lot of experience and exposure to what we would call high-level, high-stakes simulation training in real-world environments in that place. So 2 years ago, I was contacted about this opportunity, and I was so interested and intrigued by where the world not only was, but where I felt it needed to go related to simulated training environments for healthcare that I jumped all over it. And it's been a wonderful 2 years, and we're really excited about what we're doing.
Interesting to hear. Thank you for your service.
Of course.
So your background in education and of course simulation being the crux of it. It's so that's what this platform is based off, simulation.
Yeah, simulation, and quite candidly, I think sometimes people I don't want to say overcomplicate the concept of simulation, but right, it's a simulated training environment, and with simulation tools, we attempt to create those experiences and offer those solutions that provide the most realistic and accurate training environments we can.
So what is the training in motion product that you guys have?
Yeah, so back in January, we introduced our next generation, we call Training in Motion. And what this is, it is a fully complete, pre-set up, portable simulation training solution that comes in a box that's about 35 pounds with two high resolution PTZ cameras. It comes with a device that allows you to plug into any task trainer that you may want to use to pull off vitals, like if it's a mannequin or any other type of task trainer. It can also plug into any basically USB port to pull in other information. And it comes with a tablet that's preloaded with our software that allows you to conduct these simulated training environments anywhere you want to. So there's no requirement for wiring anything. There's no requirement for having an internet connection. There's no requirement for anything other than you unpacking. It takes about 3 minutes to set up, and you are off and running, able to do whatever training may need to be done in any environment. And this idea around it really came from work we've done in partnerships with the United States government. We work with the military quite a bit, and one of the needs they expressed to us was taking the concept of healthcare education out of the traditional environment where you see simulation happen, whether that's university settings or hospitals, and moving it out into the field where more and more patient care is going on. And if we're really being honest, oftentimes those first few minutes of patient care that don't happen in a facility are the most critical. So we really took input from all those folks, and that's what led to us creating this next version. And we wanted to make something that didn't require you to be a technology expert in order to use. It is designed so that if you can operate an iPad, you can be the person running really high stakes simulation training wherever you need to conduct it at any time.
So, I mean, just in the brief explanation that you gave about it, so fully encapsulated, single unit, no internet or anything is needed for this. It's kind of plug and play and ready to go.
Plug and play and ready to go, highly durable. We have some videos that you can find out there of us bowling with these devices because I think it's really important that whatever we put out there, knowing who we designed this for, they're going to get banged around a little bit. So the
Right.
durability was really important to us. It is absolutely plug and play, and you can hook it up to a network if you have one to work with. You can do it on a cellular network, but if you don't, let's say I'll give you an example. We're out in the middle of the woods doing some critical care training for some type of casualty event. Those two cameras can be set up to 100 feet apart from one another. And with the tablet that's provided, they will connect and form their own network. And you can store up to about 300 hours of recorded training on the device and take it with you when you get back to wherever you want to upload it. A lot of our partners have their own clouds they want to upload it into when they get back to wherever their main location may be. They'll do it that way, and it allows them to go out and start all over again if they want to.
So obviously with some of the cool stuff that you just mentioned, the durability and the portability of it, what sets this apart from like the traditional aspect of it
Yeah, so the
that you would have
traditional,
in your
yeah, so
schools and stuff?
in the schools, most what we're going to provide in those simulation centers are hardwired, meaning that they're going to have full wiring through ceilings, connecting into devices, connecting into servers. So you've got to have a footprint of classrooms or room space in order to do a traditional simulation environment. We wanted to provide those capabilities by removing those requirements. So that's the first big difference. The other big difference that jumps out to me is that it's just the versatility of the system. So we've designed this so that you can power it different ways in the sense that without any charge, these can run for 4 hours straight. However, because they're fully encased, battery, router, modem, microphone, cameras, we have one of our partners that said to us, well, what if we wanted to use solar power? So we've demonstrated that you can plug a solar panel into these and just run them nonstop. So we've tried to think of everything so that from a portability standpoint, they can be used absolutely anywhere. And that's very different from the traditional simulation environment that requires people to come to a central location at the same time and let's perform a set training using the environment we have. We want people to be able to go into the environments where they're going to be doing their tasks and their work each day and be able to train that way because that added level of realism from my experience in the military, those repetitions in as realistic as an environment as possible make you so much more proficient when you're in the actual situation.
Right. So outside of the institutions, like you talked about, and how this is so different from that, who are the typical users and how would they benefit the most out of this platform?
Yeah, so we can give you some examples of people that are working with with this new training in motion platform right now. So we have hospital systems that are using it to train staff in emergency rooms, as an example, where they can't dedicate the space to it. We have life flight crews that are using this to train and in helicopter environments where they're setting these up because they can be attached with a screw to anything. So if you have a wall plate, a stand. You can even lay them just flat on their surface and they'll be able to operate. We have people, a good example, we have partners on the government side that are using this in simulated air hospitals as a way to record, debrief, evaluate training of people that are going through their initial training or their specialty training before taking on their full-time job in the military. We also have it being tested right now by some rural EMS crews because one of the big questions that's out there in healthcare, and it applies across the board, is that difference of care between that rural and urban environment where there are very different, not only capabilities, but resources available. So we have a group that's working with it there as well.
Very interesting. So with this, of course, everybody's going to wonder about, well, what's the
Sure.
cost benefit, those type of things. Is it sectionable where you can build on it? Is it a one-time thing? Are there maintenance costs, those type of things associated with this?
So what we've done with this is we want to make this accessible, but we want to overcome what we saw being the largest problem, not just in simulation technology, but technology in general. So oftentimes we've seen people that will make large purchases to set up a simulation center or an environment. The reality is the devices you put in there, whether it's cameras or computers, laptops, tablets, you're going to get about 4 to 5 years of life on those before they hit end of life. So what
Right.
we've attempted to do here to eliminate the need to guess at what your long-term costs are is we've set these up basically like a subscription on a 4-year plan. So someone will purchase the unit. 4 years is the time frame that covers not only the unit, it covers all of our support. And it's important to point out we have live support. It's not just send an email. We have live support for our products that we offer. And it covers anything related to damage. If something gets damaged or something's broken, not by wrong use, but just by happenstance, it gets replaced. And then at the end of 4 years, if someone renews for another 4 years, we take all of your old equipment without changing the price on your yearly amount, and we ship you whatever the latest and greatest is we're using for our training in motion. So once someone's partnering with us using training in motion, they never again have to think about, oh, what am I going to do 4 years from now when my equipment's not good anymore? As long as they stay active with their subscription, it gets replaced every 5 years with a brand new set of equipment.
So let's talk a little bit more about the training in motion and what the simulation is actually like for the user that's going through it. So you said you had a couple cameras, it's plug and play. So for the instructor or educator, they're behind the scenes pushing the buttons, making everything run. But what is it like for the individual that's going through the training?
What I think is great about the training in motion design, and these, since they're self-contained units and they're fairly small, candidly, they're pretty indiscriminate. So I think they're not a distraction. And sometimes in simulated environments where you're in a room with cameras all over the place and whatnot, it can become distracting. But I think in this case, there isn't that distraction because of the small footprint that they have, as well as because they can be separated at a large distance. I mentioned earlier, 100 feet apart from one another. It really creates a training field that's much bigger than what you would get in a simulation center where you get one room to work with. You're
Right.
looking at a very large field that you can conduct a lot of training with. And because the cameras have a 16x zoom on them, it's not like they have to be up close to what's going on. They can be further back, capture a wider view, and then zoom in if need be. And that can be controlled. So I think for people going through the training, the other great important thing when you talk simulated training is I think it's really important that whatever technology you're leveraging in the training isn't a distraction.
Right. So with the cameras and all the data collection, what does this platform have for um, after action reviews, educational opportunities, post simulation?
That's a great question. So it is designed, it comes with our simulation software on it. And we've been a leader. We were the original simulation software company that got its roots go back almost 30 years. So with that simulation software, it's not as simple as not only can you just record it and watch it back, it gives you the ability to annotate. Someone who is conducting the training can observe and annotate during it. We call it bookmarking. So if there's critical points within that simulation, and we've seen simulations run, I've seen simulation events run as short as 15 minutes. I've seen them go as long as 2 or 3 hours. But in 2 or 3 hours, there's probably going to be 10 to 15 really key moments in that. It allows you to bookmark those, annotate what was observed, go back to it. If you want to create the bookmarks ahead of time, you can. You can add checklists ahead of time. So if here are the 10 critical key functions and skills I want to observe during this simulation, you can create that checklist ahead of time and have it populated. So when the simulation starts, whoever's evaluating it can go in and run that checklist. And if I want to add annotation on the fly, it's not just whatever I preset. I have the ability of, say something happens that I've never seen before, someone takes an action, good or bad, that I haven't observed, but I want to talk about. In real time, I can hit that bookmark function and annotate it so that I can come back to it. So you're not limited to, I've got the checklist and here's the 10 things I'm looking for at these times. If there's other things along the way, it gives you that as well. So when we say it's record, we call it debriefing. You can go back and watch it as much as you want. You can go through the notes with it. You can load it up into the cloud. We even have it integrated into what is one of our other larger solutions, which we call competency management, which allows you to, over a long period of time, see someone develop and enhance their skills. So you have an ongoing tracking of where their skill sets are. Oftentimes when I was doing my military training, we talk about initial training, but then there's the refresh training that's so important. If you don't use a skill frequently, it degrades.
Yeah.
So oftentimes this competency solution has been built so that it can actually build out scheduling and planning for when you would want to retrain a group or update training on something. So it's incredibly flexible in that way. It is not simply just record and watch. You can do all kinds of things in the data that comes out of it, fully capturable, fully uploadable into whatever cloud, whether it's one using our system or someone else's. So
it seems like it's pretty user friendly as well, from the instructor or educator side. How much prep time would it take to set one of these things up?
I love that question. So when we were developing this, and this is full disclosure, I'm not a technologist by trade. I'm a hobbyist, for lack of a better term. So when I was working with my development team, who I said to them, we're going to run the CEO test on this one, which means when we have the final product before it's ever been set up for the first time, you're going to hand me one of these. And with no help from any of you, I have to be able to do it in under 5 minutes.
Right.
Took me 3 minutes and 28 seconds to do it. So, and I'm quite sure if I would have given it to my teenagers, they probably could have done it in about 2 minutes. So
right. And then done things with it that you had no idea were capable of.
Correct. But one of the things that we think of, and this has been a limitation in some historical simulated training environments, is that the technical knowledge needed to be able to plan and execute and run a simulated training environment has been very high. Our goal with this was to lower the technical knowledge needed so that we can really focus on the expertise of whatever healthcare environment and care environment we're working in here.
Right. And that's, one of the really big important parts. I mean, for me, coming from the educational field as well, teaching for so long, you could get equipment and it was like, oh, this is the next greatest amazing thing. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you use it? And it would take so long just to try to get it into operation. So
I'm pretty confident we provide this for everyone, that anyone can set it up in under 5 minutes, and in a very quick 1 hour virtual training session, everyone can use the full functionality without any challenges to it.
Well, that's great. Well, this is really interesting information and groundbreaking technology to have stuff, so quick, and to be able to move it out into the field, into real world environments is very cool, for sure. So where do people find more information about this?
Absolutely. So you can visit us at ems-works.com. Learn all about us. We have a whole section devoted to our training in motion solution. And we look forward to hearing from people. We are a company that is dedicated and focused on how can we provide the best possible solutions to serve those who serve all of us. And I don't think anyone right now would argue with, as healthcare and critical care is evolving and moving out of those traditional environments, we've got to put tools in the hands of the people that play such an important role that at times may have been overlooked in the past in the simulation world. So ems-works.com, we're there and we are eager to help.
Well, thank you again for taking time out of your busy day to join us and talk about this groundbreaking technology. It was great talking with you and learning more about it.
Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it.